Hello, everybody, and this is the video for Tuesday, October 11th for English 2575. I am going to be going over today the next assignment that's due and introducing you to the Unit 3 folder that we now have on our Blackboard site. So in Unit 3, we're going to be practicing writing about a procedure, a process that unfolds in a series of steps. So there are a number of writing techniques and skills that are involved in procedural descriptions, in step-by-step descriptions, and we're going to be working with a variety of them. So the first thing I want to do is just go over the Unit 3 folder, everything that we have in there so far, but we are going to be adding a few new things in the next few days. So let's just go to our Blackboard site. I'm going to go into screen sharing and take us there. So here, when we go to content, the first thing you're going to notice is scrolling down, we've got a new unit folder. So just remember one thing: if you have not turned in the assignment, the expanded definition for the Unit 2, it's still there. So I'm just going to show everybody. If you have not uploaded the expanded definition assignment, the upload prompt is not going anywhere. I still need to grade those. I'll be getting feedback back to people over the next week, and we'll be talking about that in the next video. So if you have not turned that in, it was due October 6th. Please turn it in if you have not yet turned it in. You will still get credit for it, although there will be some points taken off for lateness. So going now to our Unit 3 folder. Let's open it up. The Unit 3 folder is built around the instruction manual assignment. So the instruction manual assignment, we're going to open that up right here. You can see that it has 2 due dates. The topic and the list of steps is due October 14th, and I'm going to explain that as we open the assignment. The final draft is due October 18th. Let's open up the assignment and take a good look at it. All right, so the instruction manual assignment, you will need to come up with a topic for a process or a procedure that you will write a step-by-step guide on how to perform this procedure, how to complete this process. The paper will be 1,500 to 2,000 words, double spaced with 1-inch margins. It's going to be, once again, APA formatting, and you'll be checking the Purdue OWL website for APA formatting guidance. All graphics and illustrations must be either created by you or cited according to APA formatting guidelines. And we'll go over that as we get into it in the next video. So this is the first assignment for which you will be required to include graphics and illustrations. You will need at least 1 illustration. So if it is created by you, you just don't need to cite it. If it is taken from any other source, you need to provide a caption for it. So we will talk about that in the next video. This assignment may be submitted as either a PDF or a Word document, but no other formats, right? So usually I prefer things to be in Microsoft Word, but I understand that for many of you, you will be having many illustrations, and in that case, a PDF will probably work better as far as your ability to store it, send it, and making sure that none of your formatting gets lost, right? A PDF will fix your formatting in place if you have many illustrations. So it's up to you, either PDF or Word, whatever works better for you. This assignment is worth 15% of your grade, so be aware of that. And you can see the grading criteria involves the ability to explain a task in clear, concise language, selection and definition of appropriate terminology and concepts, awareness of your intended user and audience. This one's really key for this assignment because one of the things that you need to be aware of is if you are describing a process or procedure that you are very familiar with, which often is what people want to do because, you know, that way you can actually get the detail in there and be sure that you're describing it correctly. You need to break that language down for your user because your user is someone who has never done the procedure before. So let's take a look at what that means. The assignment asks you to produce a set of instructions for carrying out a step-by-step process. It should be written as a guide for a person who has not performed the task before. All right, so a newbie, in other words, right? So this means that you've got to describe it in such a way that it's not going to be confusing for that person. You've got to describe it in a way that you don't leave out any necessary information. You can't assume a whole lot of background knowledge in your audience, right? So that takes a little bit of practice. So there are some guidelines, some boundaries and, you know, some no-nos, I guess, for this. No topics regarding food preparation, no recipes. So how to make your grandma's, you know, chocolate cake is not going to work for this assignment. No topics about social or psychological preparation, nothing like how to succeed in a job interview or things to consider when choosing a kindergarten. You know, these are not procedures. These are not step-by-step processes. It's very important that there be a series of steps that need to be done in a particular order. That's how you know that it's a process. That's how you know that it's a procedure that, you know, is going to lead you to a finished product at the end. Either something is constructed or a process is completed at the end. No surgical procedures or medical procedures. No software installation procedures, although software installation might be part of what you do, but a pure software installation procedure is not going to work for this assignment. Your process must have at least 7 separate steps and no more than 13. So between 7 and 13 steps. So that's a big range there, a lot of variety of possibilities of topics. So at the end, how you know that it's a process is that at the end, something is built, achieved, or completed. So think procedure, sequence. It's not a list of tips or recommendations. So in probably one of the questions people have is, where did I come up with these guidelines? Why no recipes? Why no medical procedures? All I can say is that it's because I've taught the class several times now at this point, and these are topics that have not worked for one reason or another. The nature of the topic itself doesn't lend itself to a successful assignment of an instruction manual. So that's about all I'm going to say on that, but just pay close attention to the assignment sheet for this, because you're going to need to submit a topic proposal with a draft of the steps involved by this Friday. And what I'm really trying to avoid here is I'm trying to avoid anyone spending a lot of work on a topic that isn't going to work. So to avoid wasting your own time, please read this assignment sheet carefully before you submit your topic proposal to make sure that it's not on this bulleted list of things that aren't going to work for this assignment at the bare minimum. Okay, now there's a list of some topics that work well for this assignment. Home construction projects work very well for this assignment. Things like how to tile a floor, how to build a loft, how to insulate a roof, how to install a home security system. All of these things are processes that have to take place in a series of steps, and it makes a difference what order you do things in. Right? The steps have to be carried out in a particular order. So I have a list here. Everything from how to prepare an operating room for surgery to how to replace a roof on a house. So you're wondering, wait, I thought it was no medical procedures. I'm just saying no medical procedures as if you are the doctor or the medical provider. If you are preparing the operating room for surgery, that's an assisting position, right? So that's different from a medical procedure. You're not working on a patient directly. What you're doing is you are providing support role to a medical provider, and preparing an operating room for surgery is something that has to be done in a particular order. All right. So how to prepare legal documents for a client applying for a green card. So for those of you who are, some people who may be going into law, right, are taking this class, or going into the paralegal field, this would be something that you might be interested in writing about, right? How to conduct a server system diagnostic and data backup, all right, things like that. So these are workplace procedures. Some topics that have worked well in the past are, let me see, these would be more technical and scientific procedures, like how to grow bacteria cultures in the lab, how to assemble a circuit board. One of my favorite assignments that students submitted about a year ago was how to winterize a bee colony, which at first I didn't think was going to work because I thought that it wouldn't have enough steps. It wouldn't be sufficiently complex enough for this assignment. And he managed to convince me in his topic proposal that indeed it was a complex process. I had no idea. So every once in a while, somebody is working in a job or has a skill that actually teaches me something in this. How to build a raised bed garden on a concrete patio. That was another one that I wasn't sure was going to work, and it ended up being, yes, an excellent topic proposal. There was a lot of steps involved in this. Again, legal processes, how to file a stay of deportation order for a legal client, right? So lots of possibilities. This is a popular one, how to build a PC or gaming console, right? So all of these are going to require illustrations. It's very important that you remember that in your descriptions, you're going to be pairing illustrations with your descriptions in this. There's no limit to how many illustrations you can pick, but you need at least one. All right, so section here says, you may be wondering, how do I know if my topic is too complex or too simple, right? So ask yourself, is this something that really needs a minimum of 7 steps to complete, right? So I have examples of, things that are too simple, examples of things that are too complex. And also, you must remember that your audience has never done the procedure before. So keeping your audience in mind will help you to figure out how complex it can possibly be, right? So, you don't want it to be so complicated that someone who's never done it before cannot figure it out from an instruction manual. Okay, so another thing that isn't really going to work for this assignment is simple, assembly of IKEA furniture, some sort of bespoke, factory issued, piece of furniture that already has an instruction manual. That isn't going to work for this. And the reason why is because of this. plagiarism, right? So the policy on plagiarism and academic integrity is clearly spelled out in the syllabus. It is not allowed. It is a serious academic violation at all colleges. So copying any wording from online sources constitutes plagiarism, and also lifting the steps of a process, you know, directly from a pre-existing instruction manual and just putting them into your own work as if it's yours. In other words, taking an IKEA instruction manual and adapting it to your own, that's not enough. That's not going to work. It is one of the reasons why this is probably the assignment that is the most tempting to plagiarize, is because there are so many instruction manuals out there online, and so much of what we purchase these days has to be assembled ourselves. This is what I'm trying to get away from. So no consumer items or furniture that, you know, comes like with its own instruction manual for assembly. That's not going to work for this assignment. It's got to be more complex than that. All right, how this assignment will be graded. You've got a grading breakdown right here. You got to keep within the word count. You got to make sure your proofreading and your grammar punctuation makes sense. You got to make sure that you've got the right number of steps, or you're within that range. Make sure you adjust your language for your reader. Make sure you choose reputable non-commercial sources. So that'll keep you from choosing, you know, how to assemble an IKEA desk. That's a commercial source. So make sure that your sources are not from a company that is simply telling you how to install or put together its product, right? That's not going to work for this assignment. Continuing on. You're going to have to include that in a works cited page. And you may not cite Wikipedia, how stuff works, or people's blogs. Okay. What you can cite are things like, you can cite Wired magazine. If you're doing the PC setup, you can cite any kind of home guides, the home hardware and landscaping and gardening guides, things like that. Any of that works for this assignment. So I'm being pretty open-ended about what it doesn't have to be, you know, a high academic source, but it can't be a commercial source for this. All right, so let's move out of the instruction manual and take a look at what we need here on October 14th. So on October 14th, that's the topic and the steps for the instruction manual. So you notice that there's no attachment here. What you're going to do is you are going to attach one page, either PDF or Word, in which you present your topic at the top of the page, followed by a list of steps for completing the procedure you want to describe. Now, I understand that if you haven't yet done your first draft of this assignment, you might realize that there are more steps to it than you thought, or maybe fewer, but probably the first. Probably it's going to end up being more steps than you thought. So that's okay. I want you to put out what you think the number of steps are. So for example, let me just show you here what that might look like. So for the instruction manual, so if I'm opening up a Microsoft Word document, I would say my instruction, okay, how to, my topic, how to set up patio container garden. All right, so steps. Okay, 1. Okay, measure the territory size of patio, right? 2, purchase containers. 3, select soil type. 4, select plants. Okay, so you see what I'm doing. I am not exactly positive if all of these are going to be the total number of steps, but I do think that this is probably going to be at least 7 steps, right? So select plants, and then, fill containers with soil mix, plant and fertilize, right? So etc. I'm going through the procedures and I'm trying to see, okay, is this going to be 7 steps? It may or it may not be. And if it seems like it's going to be a little bit too simple, I may actually, add a few more things. So for example, I might decide to build a raised platform, proper drainage, because my landlord doesn't want me to stain the brickwork with a lot of, muddy water coming out of these plants, right? Okay, so start to, elaborate on it a little bit, and you can see that, it actually does look like I've got 7 steps in here. And then, I am not going to be picky about whether you might have left something out. What I will let you know right away, and this is my promise to you, I'm going to close this out, save, and I'm going to go out of screen sharing. What I promise you to do is that I am going to get back to you with feedback as soon as I get these, because I understand that they are time sensitive. So I'm going to prioritize these over the assignments that we turned in last week. So the expanded definition, you might get that after you get your topic proposal back for this assignment. So it's not because I'm, confused. It's because I know that this is time sensitive and that you need to know whether your topic is going to work or not so that you can get working on the instruction manual assignment. So that's that. And as you go into the Unit 3 folder, you will see a drafting guide for the instruction manual, and that is going to help you as well. We're going to talk about that next week. But for now, what I want everybody to really focus on is to very carefully read the instructions on the assignment sheet for the instruction manual. Okay, so when you have any questions at all, just don't hesitate to email me. But what I want to see, rather than getting a lot of emails saying, do you think it would work if I did my instruction manual on this? I want you to actually write out the steps to it first. Okay, I want you to do the conceptualizing, brainstorming work first and ask yourself if you think it's going to work before you ask me. So the topic proposal is simply so that I can get back to you and say, yes, this sounds great, go for it. Or I will say, yeah, you know what, it's not really complex enough, or it's too complex, or why don't you adjust it by doing this, right? So you really need to listen to the feedback. It's very important because that will prevent you from misunderstandings that'll lead to a grade that you don't want. All right, so that's all for today. Please email me if you have any questions, and everybody have a good day.